Hey friends, it's Lane with Tim's Nation. I am here today to talk to you a little bit about the Custodes army I'm bringing into DJ's Necrons this week. Using the Solar Spearhead Detachment. I'm glad we get to play with the Dreadnoughts because they are fun models. They're cool models. Kind of held back by their 6-inch move, so the Solar Spearhead fixes that for us. Although it should have been a data sheet fix, GW. It should not be a detachment-specific fix. They should all get the extra 2 inches of movement, regardless of which detachment they're on. But we'll take the good news where we can get it. So, and obviously the jet bikes are pretty good again. So today I'm running 9 jet bikes, 3-man squads of them. So actually, for a Solar Spearhead vehicle-based attachment, I don't have that many vehicles. I'm going to have a couple Custodes grab tanks, and I had 3 of the Dreadnoughts, and then other than that, it's going to be jet bikes and the Wardens, because the Warden's being led by the Blade Champion with the combat enhancement on him. It makes the Blade Champion pretty strong, giving him +1 strength, +1 attack, and +1 damage on whichever profile you choose. So really just looking to have some fun, looking to get these jet bikes in there. It's going to be an interesting challenge today because I think DJ counted up my models, said I had 23 models and he has 22 units. So he's really outnumbering me quite a bit here. And there's not a lot of high volume of shooting. You know, once the jet bikes get into combat, the vertex get into combat, they're going to get a good number of attacks in there, but there's not a high volume of shooting. Lots of good quality shooting designed to pick up vehicles because all my jet bikes, the vertex I'm going to run them with the salvo launchers, not the bolters, regardless of what army I'm going into, because it's so strong. And the Custodes grab tanks, of course, are strong, but they don't have that many shots. So we'll see how it performs in this overwhelming number of Necrons that I've got to deal with. Basically, every one of my models has to kill at least 4 of DJ's models for me to get through and table them. So we'll see how they perform. I do like playing my Custodes. I think other than Deathwatch and Blood Angels, they might be my favorite army right now because they're just kind of not turn your brain off 40K, because 40K is very complicated, but the rules are relatively simple. You can put a pretty good army together with relatively few data sheets. The rules are strong. I like both Solar Spearhead and I like Shield Host. I know people have had success with some of the other detachments as well, but I do enjoy playing them. They're fun. The models look really cool. So let's get into the list here, talk a little bit about what I'm taking today and how I expect them to perform. Here we go. All right, so this is exactly 2,000 points in the Custodes Solar Spearhead detachment. The detachment rules are primarily for vehicles. So any vehicle, if it's at full strength, gets +2 to its OC, so it's a little better at holding objectives. Once a vehicle is below full strength, then it gets reroll 1s to hit, which is really efficient for an army that hits on 2s. And then once that vehicle is below half strength, it also gets reroll 1s to wound, just upping their efficiency level. In addition to that, all the Dreadnoughts get +2 to their movement, +1 to advance, and +1 to charge. And there is an advance and charge strat in there that'll be good for them to use to make full use of that extra little bit of movement. So today, with our characters, we have 2 Dreadnought characters today, because one of the other things about the detachment is that you can make Dreadnoughts into characters and give them enhancements. We have 2 Dreadnought characters and 1 regular old infantry character. So our infantry character is the Blade Champion. He is taking the Adamantine Talisman. This enhancement gives him +1 attacks, +1 strength, and +1 damage. And of course, I didn't invent this. Putting this on the Blade Champion is a pretty safe way to go because he has a variety of attack profiles, and it really buffs whichever of those attack profiles you choose, because this enhancement applies to any of those. So, for example, he's got 3 different profiles. One is Behemoth, 6 attacks, hitting on 2, strength 7, AP 2, 2 damage, precision. So obviously that precision gets a little juicier when you go up an extra attack, go up to strength 8, and it's 3 damage. Definitely makes that a lot stronger. He also has a sweep profile, the Hurricanus profile, 9 attacks, so going to 10, going to strength 6, AP 1, and going from 1 damage to 2 damage, makes that one really efficient as well. And then finally, they have the devastating wounds one, the Victus, 5 attacks going to 6. It's strength 6 going to 7. AP 3 damage going to 4 with the enhancement. So having a flat 4 damage character at AP 3 is pretty strong. None of these are super great into vehicles because their strength is not that high. The highest strength we get out of here is strength 7 on the behemoth attack. But as long as we put these, put them into any kind of infantry, whether it's horde infantry, cheap infantry, medium infantry, elite infantry, he's got a profile that's going to be good into any of those. Of course, he also has his built-in abilities in addition to the enhancements. Once per game, he can allow his unit to advance after having charged. This is kind of nice because you're choosing your charge phase. So you roll in advance in your movement phase, and then if you want to, at that point in a charge phase, you can choose it. So you don't have to choose it before you roll your advance. And then, of course, his unit can reroll charge rolls all the time as well. So pretty strong for a close combat unit. He's going to be with the Wardens. We know the Wardens are really good. Moving on to our next character, Dreadnought. I wanted to say that enhancement we gave the Blade Champion, the Adamantine Talisman, that would also be really interesting on the Achilles Dreadnought. The Achilles is the one with a big spear. I have him here, and I'm using him today, although I didn't give him that enhancement. But his melee weapon, the Achilles Dread Spear, is 5 attacks, strength 12, AP2, D6 plus 1 damage, and it gets lance. So obviously, if you give him that enhancement, it gets an extra attack. But his strength goes to strength 13, and his damage goes to D6 plus 2. But that strength 13 with the lance means that he's hitting on 2s, wounding anything T12 or less on 2s. So Land Raiders, Imperial Knights, doesn't matter. He's wounding them on 2s at strength 13 with lance, which I think is kind of hilarious. So I might try that sometime if I run it again. But as for right now, I am running the Achilles Dreadnought. I did give him, I gave him the Augury uplink enhancement. This is just the 5-up, feel no pain, keep him around a little bit longer. I want him to be able to get in there and punch. So I figured this would help keep him alive a little longer. The Glass Dreadnought also has its own durability buff. So I figured I'd give this to him because I really want him to just go in there and stab Xeris in his stupid base. His ability, I mean, again, the spear, as I just talked about, his spear is pretty good. He's got a couple decent shots here. He does have his Dread Spear shot, which is just one shot at strength 9, AP2, 3 damage. And I have him with the twin Adrathic Destructors. He's got 2 of those. Again, strength 6, AP2, 3 damage. The twin linked. So he actually can put out a little bit of damage in his shooting. And then, of course, when he fights, you roll a D6 on a 4-up. You do mortals. On a 6, it's flat 3 mortals, but he gets +2 if you made a charge. The nice thing is he does do impact mortals, the trigger on a 2-up when he charges. But even if he hasn't charged, and whenever he activates, he can do immortals on a 4-up as well. So a nice little buff for him. Hopefully he survives long enough to do some damage. Go after some juicy characters. Primarily just in what DJ's running today, it's just going to be Xeris. Hopefully he just gets to go in and punch Xeris in his big old face. And then finally we have a Venerable Contemptor Dreadnought. And I have given him the enhancement Honored Fallen. This is kind of like the old Wisdom of the Ancients rule for Dreadnoughts, in that any infantry or mounted units within 6 inches of him will reroll 1s to hit. So he's just going to be there to buff the jet bikes, the Virtus Praetors, and the Wardens, just to get them a little bit of extra efficiency. Custodes are already really efficient, hitting on 2s, but this is just going to iron out any wrinkles where we might actually miss a couple of hits here and there and just make them a little bit better. Of course, the Venerable Contemptor Dreadnought, his special rule is that he can stand back up when he dies. After he's dead, you roll a d6 on a 2-up. He pops back up at the end of the phase with d6 wounds remaining. And it makes him a little bit better in that he can, he's benefiting from the detachment rules. So if he does pop back up and he's wounded, he's going to be rerolling 1s to hit, maybe even rerolling 1s to wound as well. He's going to need that because he doesn't have a lot of attacks. He just has a multi-melta and then a combi bolter on his power fist. So just a little bit of shooting there. His melee weapon is decent, 5 attacks, strength 12, AP2, 3 damage with his Contemptor combat weapon. Just not a ton of volume on the shots either way, but the fact is that he's going to run up there with the jet bikes and the Wardens and giving them rerolling 1s to hit. I hope will really help him out today. And between him and the Wardens, there's a lot of durability there that'll be difficult for armies to deal with. Next, those are our characters. Then we do have one Gladys Dreadnought. This is the Sword and Shield Dreadnought. He's nice because he's got a 4-up invuln, and then his special rule is that he is neg1 to wound in combat. I love this rule when I am playing him, not when I'm playing against him, because the neg1 to wound is not when the strength is higher than his toughness. It's neg1 to wound anytime. So he's toughness 9. So anybody below toughness or strength 9 when they're attacking him is going to be wounding him on 6s. Because it's just neg1 to wound in combat, no matter what your strength of your weapon is. So he can be really hard to deal with, especially if you are lower strength than his toughness, because you're going to be neg1 to wound. And again, he's got that 4-up invuln because of his shield. So he punches these. He does have a little flamer on there. It's a twin-length flamer. Maybe he'll pick up 1 or 2 guys. I'm really looking for efficiency in killing things, so I'm going to use that flamer every chance I've got. But and then in combat, he does have 8 attacks at strength 8, AP2, 3 damage. So he is kind of a blender in combat with a lot of high value attacks there. Next, of course, we got 2 of the Caladius grav tanks. I just got a new one here. I bought it out of a lot on eBay, so I didn't get to pick the turret I had on top because I really wanted the Twin Arachnus heavy blaze cannon. So I've got 2 of them with the 2 different turrets here. We're not going WYSIWYG today. We are just going to say that both of them are the Twin Arachnus heavy blaze cannons. Even though the Elastis accelerator cannon would probably be better today going into all the infantry because it's just more shots. It's 4 shots, but rapid fire 4. I'm not going to tailor my list to DJ's army. I'm going to take both of them as the Twin Arachnus heavy blaze cannons. Because those things are, I mean, they're great into vehicles and elite units, monsters, that sort of thing. 4 shots, hitting on 2, strength 12, AP 3, D6 plus 2 damage, twin linked. So they can kick out a lot of damage there. They also get lethals when they shoot into vehicles and monsters of that profile. So, but the Caladiuses are pretty durable. Toughness 11, 14 wounds, and a 5-up invuln, so they typically stick around. And because their guns are long range at 48 inches, that means they can kind of hold back, stay on my home field objective, score me points there, but still contribute to the game by shooting out and doing a little bit of work. Next, we do have 1 4-man squad of the Custodian Wardens. We know these guys are great. They're neg1 to wound when led by a character, and once per game at the start of a phase, you can pop off a 4-up feel no pain to all damage. It'll be interesting with DJ here today because he's got so many small units. It'll be kind of tough for me to decide when to pop that thing off because he might be able to go at me in shooting or close combat. It'll be kind of hard to tell. But they're naturally durable anyways at being neg1 to wound. And slap like Custodians still punch nice and hard with those. The models I have axes, but we're using the spears. I think the axes are interesting in shield hosts because you can choose to go extra AP, or I'm sorry, you can choose to go extra AP rather than the proccing your katas on 5s. But I think in just any other detachment, we're going to go with spears. So the Wardens do have spears today. Then we've got 4 of the prosecutors. Our Sisters of Silence are here to help us out a little bit, to hopefully score us a little bit of secondaries. Just 4 of them. I would rather take Witch Seekers, but I didn't have the points. I'd have to drop an enhancement or something. And I figured I wanted to try all the enhancements I could in Solar Spearhead today. So 4-man of the prosecutors. And then we've got 3-mans of the Virtus Praetors, the jet bikes. The jet bikes got good, finally. They have been not good for such a long time. They improved their special rule. So their special rules, anytime they advance, they go 6 inches rather than rolling for D6. It used to be that if they advanced once per game, you could drop mortal wounds on somebody. It was really hard to use that because you'd sacrifice both your shooting and your combat, which is kind of silly for Virtus Praetors. They had no way of advancing and shooting or charging. It was a tough thing to sacrifice, but now they just make it once per game when you make a normal move or an advance. When you fly over an enemy unit, I believe it has to be not vehicles or monsters. Let me check these rules here. Yeah, you fly over a unit, select 1 enemy unit, excluding monsters and vehicles that have moved over, then roll a d6 for each model in this unit, and for each 2-up, the enemy unit suffers 2 mortal wounds. I'm definitely going to be relying on this today because DJ has so many models. I want to make sure I proc this off in a good place and hopefully pick up a little 3 to 5 man squad of something. Because if I roll I roll all the 2-ups. That's 6 mortal wounds. That'll pick up a 5-man squad if they're all 1-wound models. So hopefully I choose the right place to deploy that, because it is just once a game for each unit. But I do have 9 of these guys. That's potential 18 mortal wounds in flyovers. And like I said, I'm going to need all the damage output I can just to chew through all these units. So, of course, they do have good shooting. Their bolters are interesting now. They improved the shooting profiles on these. So the Hurricane bolters are 3 shots, rapid fire 3, but they're only 18-inch range. Because of that close range, I'm just going to take the salvo launchers to just give me more anti-tank punch. Even though in today's matchup, the Hurricane bolters would be a better choice. Again, I'm not list tailing for DJ. This is what I'm going to run anyways. Most of the time, if I'm taking these competitively, I'm going to do the salvo launchers. 1 shot, strength 10, AP3, D6 plus 1 damage, twin linked. So a decent anti-vehicle profile. Giving us that twin linked is going to do some damage there. Then, of course, in melee, they've got 5 attacks, strength 7, AP2, 2 damage, which is a pretty standard Custodes profile, but they do have lances. So they have the lance keyword, so they're going to get +1 to wound when they charge, which just gives them that extra efficiency of really being able to hit pretty hard when they go in, giving you a lot of efficiency when you charge in with these guys. Basically, anything that's T6 or less, they're going to be wounding on 2s when they charge. So that's it. That's the list. So running on the jet bikes, they don't really mesh that well with the detachment because it's a vehicle-based detachment. And I don't have a Telemon today. I'm just not impressed with the Telemon's shooting profile. Of course, he's really durable. He's got his damage reduction, his 4-up embalm, a good number of wounds. They're good as far as durability is concerned, decent in combat. Their shooting profile just isn't very good. With everything being AP1 or AP0, it's just not very impressive. So I'm going to run this without the Telemon. Decided that the jet bikes are back, so we're going to run them all. If I were to go shield host, I'd probably just drop the Dreadnoughts and put a bunch of Venatari in there. Venatari are still really good. I think that'd be a good mix with the jet bikes because you just get a ton of mobility between the rapid ingress and the excellent move characteristics of both those units. But yeah, today we're going to run the jet bikes. They do benefit from this detachment in a couple ways. One, there is the stratagem that allows them to move through walls. For 1 CP, they can just go through walls. Of course, they have fly and a 12-inch move, but sometimes you just want them to go straight through the wall to get to where they need to get to. So they benefit from that. And of course, the Venerable Contemptor Dreadnought has the enhancement that's going to let them reroll 1s to hit as long as they're within 6 inches of him. That's just going to make both their shooting and their fighting a lot more efficient. And of course, I'll probably be using the advance and charge strat for the Venerable Contemptor to get him up and make sure he stays up and keeps pace with both the Wardens and the Virtus Praetors to make sure he's giving them their buffs. And then the other couple Dreadnoughts will be able to go off on their little adventure and go kill some things, however they can best do that. So yeah, that's really it. Nothing, like I said, with Custodes, it's not about being really complicated or tricksy. Just you got a lot of efficient units, and just hopefully I can deploy them the best way today. So like I said, it's going to be kind of tricky because I don't have high volume shooting. It's efficient shooting, but it's not high volume. So it's going to be kind of tricky to deal with these squads of 3 to 5. If I get into combat, they're going to wreck a squad no matter what, because of just the high volume of attacks that the Custodes get in combat. With katas, they're probably going to be sustained all the time. But really, it's going to come down to if I can just chew through this army fast enough. So I'm going to use things like tank shock just to try and make sure I get through units to get through the damage through. I don't think I have grenades, do I, guys? Custodes don't throw grenades. They're not really into throwing things, I guess. So that's what it'll be. So follow me over to the battle report, guys. Let's see how the Custodes do today into all these Necrons. All right, have a good one.